all of your liberties, your rights, and your freedom have been taken away from you. And imagine if someone put a camera in the room with you and the group of people who are being imposed upon, what they would see. Because you would definitely figure out a way to get out of that hell. Run!
At any moment, these folks that are struggling to escape this oppressive system could lose their lives.
I think that first scene, starting with the Kanye music, starting with that beat, starting with the running, really emphasizes that this is not the show you expect.
You ready to do this?
We have the story of John and Elizabeth. They're Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and they become spies for the good guys.
What you have to do.
White people back in the day were abolitionists fighting against slavery, and that story needs to be told, and they represent that.
So that's where we find John and Elizabeth at that point where they decide it's wrong, they're going to do something about it.
Welcome to the underground.
We're adding new titles every day to our awesome collection of blockbuster movies, from Hollywood to Nollywood. Download the app and subscribe. This isn't just a streaming channel. Announcing the launch of MovieBox, a Rise Place content submission platform. Are you a film producer, director, or distributor looking to give your content the exposure it deserves? Then check out MovieBox today. For more information, visit moviebox.ariseplay.com. This is not just a streaming channel. This is a bold new world of entertainment. Arise Play. Beyond streaming.
Welcome to This Week, 60 minutes of analytical review of the big stories, topical issues, and all the controversies around the world. I'm Sumner Sambo. And now to the headlines. Uncertainty over planned fuel increase by the federal government to fully remove fuel subsidy as labor unions gear up for a massive nationwide strike. But the National Economic Council says no decision reached yet. After months of delay, Governing All Progressives Congress releases timetable for its national convention after fixing February 26 for the election of its national officers. 6 years after the launch of the Anchor Borrowers Program by the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN says national output of rice production has increased to 9 million metric tons compared to 5.4 million metric tons in 2015. And Americans appraise President Joe Biden's first year in office as Democrats begin preparation for midterm elections later this year. Will fuel subsidy totally be removed or not? This is the debate that has been on since the last administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. The federal government has consistently said that Nigerians are paying far less than the actual cost of a liter of petrol, with government subsidizing the product at a huge cost, thereby reducing the funds that could have been available for infrastructural development. With the impact of COVID-19 on global economy and demand for infrastructure development across the country, the Nigerian government's finances continue to dwindle by the day, and every effort is targeted towards raising funds to meet increasing public expenditure. While the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, says there will be a total removal of fuel subsidy in June, the Senate President, Ahmad Lawan, says President Muhammadu Buhari has not told anyone that he intends to do so. As the labor unions begin plans for a nationwide strike, former head of state General Abdulsalami Abubakar warns the government to rethink its strategy to prevent more Nigerians from being plunged into poverty. The National Economic Council says it will only arrive at a final decision on whether to keep fuel subsidy or not in June. Who should Nigerians believe?
Industry Act has a provision that all petroleum products must be deregulated. And in the 2020 budget, we made a provision to assume that at the maximum, by the end of June, we must exit subsidy. So this last fact, the subsidy cost to the Federation was 243 billion. So if you look at a cost of about 250 billion per month, and it has been increasing consistently, so we got something like, we're expecting something like 120 billion per month from NNPC. Now we're getting to a point when NNPC is remitting near zero. And if we don't stop, we'll get to a point when they'll be giving us a bill to say, you have to actually pay me this for managing the fuel provision in the country.
And I'm happy to inform Nigerians that Mr. President never told anyone that the petroleum subsidy should be removed. I know and I agree that the subsidy is very heavy, but I think we must never transfer the burden to the citizens. I believe that we need to look at the quoted figure of maybe 100 million liters that people claim we are consuming. Is it I'm paying either under recoveries or subsidy? Is it really 100 million liters per day? How on earth are we consuming that?
All right, joining me in the studio is Arise News analyst Frank Tietie, and also right here is Comrade Adebayo from the Conference of Coalition of United Political Parties. He's a co-spokesperson there. And I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for joining us to take a look at this issue. And let me start with you, Mark. How do you see this blame game in between government officials? I mean, how could the Senate President have been saying that President Buhari hasn't told anyone, yet the same National Assembly passed a Petroleum Industry Act, which the Minister of Finance was referring to, and NNPC has been privatized. So should a privatized company be paying subsidies?
Well, thank you so much. You know, that is part of the confusion that is in the present government. It's like the falcon cannot hear the falconer, you know. So let me say that maybe the Senate President is speaking from the angle of the masses, seeing the situation in the country. And of course, the retired General Abdulsalami Abubakar. It shows that if General Abdulsalami Abubakar, being a former head of state, could say that the government should not go there, it shows that there are options, there are alternatives that could be, explored, rather than remove the subsidy and now put for anybody on Nigerians that are already overburdened by poverty, by lack, by unemployment, and by insecurity. I think it's ungodly. I think it's unfair. I think it's even unjust for the government to contemplate removing subsidy. And coming from a government, and from a president in particular, that stated clearly in 2014 that there was nothing called subsidy, that it was all falsehoods. Now, which subsidy is he removing now? And if you were to interrogate his own statement pre-2015 elections about this issue of subsidy, I believe that it is a dearth of intelligent leadership that will push anybody at the current state of the economy, to now say you want to overburden the people. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics told us that. National Bureau of Statistics told us that inflation has reduced to maybe about 15.40%. But this same statistics read out by the NBS also tells us that the prices of food and other items have increased by 17.40%. So how do you say inflation is reducing while food prices are going up? Also, it is one of the convoluted contradictions of this government. And I don't think we should not go there. The government should not even think of it at all.
Very interesting indeed. We'll come to you. Brother Frank Tietie, do you smell politics here, 2023? Because here we are having a Senate President saying that, the government, President Muhammadu Buhari hasn't said this. And then he's saying that Nigeria is consuming 100 million liters. I don't think we've ever had a situation whereby both an NPC or the government say we're consuming 100 million liters. It's usually between 40 to 65 million liters. In all of this, do you think that the Senate President was actually saying this because he's afraid for the APC that if there's this total fare subsidy removal, as the government officials are saying, that the APC may be in trouble?
Well, the APC is already in very difficult circumstances, and they are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea when it comes to doing the right thing, which is removing subsidy with the political decision of not trying to displease the Nigerian populace, which might punish it in the 2023 election. So the issue of subsidy has been in the front burner since the 90s. In fact, pre-90s, in the days of General Babangida as head of state, when the IMF said it wasn't sustainable for Nigeria to carry on the subsidy of around 2 naira 50 kobo or so at that time. But so it shows that we collectively, all of us, have not been a serious people as a country, because throughout all those times to date, we haven't been able to have an administration that is courageous enough to say subsidies for petroleum products have never been and can never be sustainable.
Yeah, well, this government told us several times that the first subsidy has been removed. It's no longer there.
Well, that was
the back door. We saw payments being made
because
for
it faced the reality of the fact that there were no infrastructural projects or programs that could sustain the removal of subsidy. So the transport system in Africa, in Nigeria particularly, is in terrible state of affairs. So if you're removing subsidy, it's expected that alternative infrastructure in health, transport, and housing, together with agriculture, will make up for all of those removal of subsidy, in addition to a fiscal policy that will allow taxes to drive the revenue of government up. We haven't put all of that in place for decades, that we've been staring at the problem of subsidies.
Yeah, but having listened to the Minister of Finance and the Senate President, who do you actually believe among them?
I tend to believe the Minister of Finance. She's more realistic. She faces the facts the way they are. We're a country that should be governed by law. There has never been a legal provision for subsidy except the Appropriation Acts that we have had. And in a situation where it is staring us in the face that we're a country that is running on a shortage of funds, we are seeming for a long time being a mono economy. For a long time, and even at the moment, the global prices of oil determine our government revenues, not even our taxation. So the Minister of Finance is realistic, and the government, actually, particularly the president, must come out clean about this. Sometimes you have to take very difficult situations. They don't have to be politically correct decisions, but they have to be in the ultimate interest of Nigerians. We're looking forward to a government that will be courageous enough to say this subsidy, as it is being campaigned, even though in hushed tones, that subsidies are unsustainable. They don't help the economy. They don't help the people. They are a pipeline for draining for public funds.
Almost $250 million. Of $1 trillion for these subsidy payments every now and then. And, even the states are overburdened by all of this. So, I mean, the outcry will continue based on what many of the labor leaders are saying. But we'll just have to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the national strike that the NLC hopes to go. We'll go on this short break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Some dreams are big. Some dreams are small. Some dream to go from place to place. Dreams of love and ever after. Dreams and sacrifices that builds the future. Whatever the dream or step, journey. You can do more with a partner that cares about your dreams. Access, more than banking.
What does the path to success in your online business look like? What are the ingredients needed to succeed in selling online? Here's the obvious hint. You need the Flutterwave store. Here are the ingredients you need to succeed. Great product images, responsive layout, default payments integration, instant notifications, fast checkout, and even delivery. If you have no coding skills or knowledge, you're just as welcome because the Flutterwave store doesn't require any. You can create a store for your business for free and start selling in 5 minutes or less. Step 1. Visit www.flutterwave.com/store and click on Set up your store for free. Step 2. Complete the sign-up form and click Get Started. Step 3. Check your email inbox for a verification mail and click on the link. Select how you want to accept payments. Step 4. Click on Store in the side menu of your admin panel, fill in the details, and take it online. Step 5. Add products and start selling. Create your own online store today and receive payments from around the world. The Flutterwave store. Just sign up, list, and sell. It's that easy.
Welcome back. You're still watching This Week on Arise News. I'm Somna Sambo. After it has been confirmed that the Nigerian government is planning to totally remove fuel subsidies in June, the National Economic Council met during the week and they took certain decisions and they were shy away from totally saying that this fuel subsidy has to be removed. But I mean, eventually they came back to inform Nigerians that this issue would be looked into after the period of June. I still have with me Mark Adebayo, co-spokesperson of the Coalition of United Political Parties, and Arise News analyst Frank Tietie, and joining us from our offsite studio is Ogbonna Ikuku. And I'll come back to you, Mark, before I go to Ogbonna. This issue of the Nigerian Labour Congress planning to go on a nationwide strike from January 27. How concerned are you that if this issue is not looked into properly, and just like the governors have said, there's a wider consultation, the economy may be grounded and it will affect Nigerians?
I'm extremely concerned due to the fact that when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. And the grass, in this case, are the Nigerian masses, are the Nigerian people, are the underprivileged, are the unemployed youth and everybody in the country. So it is likely this strike, unfortunately, the only language that the government understands when it wants to engage in anti-people policies is the language of strike by the organized labor. But it doesn't, there's no time that labor goes on strike that it is not the people that suffer the most. So it's unfortunate, but of course, you cannot blame the organized labor because that's the only language that this government that any government will listen to in order to do what is right, in order to do what is going to be beneficial to the people. In Nigeria, there are no social, safety nets for the people. The government, there is
the government has been engaging in all those programs. So, we've seen 5,000 naira being paid, 10,000
to how many people, to what percentage of the people, to what percentage of the people, all those things are just propaganda. Now, if you now increase the pump price of fuel, and food is already food prices are already very high. How do you want the people to survive in this? How do you want people to survive? Of course, and if you look at the 2022 budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you see that 26 billion has been earmarked for the feeding of the president and his travels. So how many Nigerians have access to such funds? So it will seem that when you increase the suffering of the people, you are not concerned. And because you are not concerned, you can do whatever you like. Unfortunately, strikes, like I said, people will still suffer, but that is the only language that government will understand because labor will have to protect the people, have to protect workers' interests, and by protecting workers' interests, it is protecting the masses' interests. And that is.
And I'll come to you, Ogbonna. How important is it for Nigeria to actually exit the payment of fuel subsidies?
Anyway, let me start this conversation from saying first things first. It's not done anywhere in the world where you subsidize an important commodity like petroleum products anywhere, because what you're doing is you're actually not helping the economy to stand on its own. Let me explain further. When it comes to depleting resources like oil, you cannot produce oil in a nation, then refine the oil outside the nation, and then when you refine the oil outside the nation, then you buy it back, and then you now begin to subsidize the price. Now, it doesn't make any economic sense because, one, what you are doing is you're actually killing the economy, because depleting resource, like I said, is actually monies that accrue naturally, because I call them lifelines given to you by nature. Now, when such monies accrue, what you do is you reinvest those funds. It's actually proceeds from those funds that you use to do any other thing to fund your budget. But be it as it may, as a country, we found ourselves here over the 5 decades that I have known this nation, we've been funding our budget from such depleting commodity. Countries like Norway, all they do is majorly, they take those funds and reinvest them in their sovereign wealth fund. Countries like Botswana, Chile, these are things that they use monies from iron ore to reinvest in other things that would generate funds for that nation. Countries fund their budget from taxes, they fund from income, other sources. So depending on oil is already a red flag. So let's leave that aside. Now let's come to the issue. Should we remove subsidy? Yes. Is it going to bite hard? Yes. But what do? We must come to that time when we have to take the bitter pill. We have to swallow the bitter pill and say to ourselves, this is what we ought to do. You can't spend 250 billion naira every month to subsidize products that might not even help the poor, that does not even help the productivity of the nation. I say this because if we are funding our lifestyle, people driving fleet of cars, people driving high petroleum consuming cars, and then you're subsidizing fuel to fund their lifestyle, you have not done any good to
very interesting. Very interesting submission you've got here. But one would wonder what the President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, was trying to hit at when he actually said that President Buhari hasn't told anyone that he's going to remove fuel subsidy. Contrary to what the Minister of Finance had said, that by the provisions of the new Petroleum Industry Act, that it's natural. NNPC will be a private company, and as a result of that, NNPC as a private company can no longer be paying for subsidies. Are we just trying to be political here because we are going into an election year, or you think that the APC government is afraid of what may actually happen if it does remove this fuel subsidy?
I don't think APC will be afraid of taking certain decisions. What I think the Senate President was trying to say is the decisions have not come. The President have not given that directive, go ahead and remove this fuel subsidy. Now, meetings have been ongoing. The Minister of Finance have done her job to come out to make a submission. We can't continue like this, not possible. We can't continue to fund this particular budget line. It does.
Barrister Frank Tietie, let's take a look at what we need to do to prevent this nationwide strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress. What should all the organs, both the National Economic Committee chaired by governors and then the federal government, be doing to prevent the strike?
Well, thank you very much. For a long time now, I've led the civil society organization that doesn't believe that workers should go on strike. First and foremost, in Nigeria, workers in the essential services sector cannot go on strike. It's a matter of law. And strikes have not been helpful. In my own humble submission, they have been practically selfish. They don't take into cognizance the fact that we live in peculiar circumstances in Nigeria where we have a lot of poor people, and just like my brother comrade has said, that it is the people who often suffer. So you see, labor unions are what they are. Unions that are people who gather together to push their own interests.
Yeah, but it's not only the labor. Even the former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, is warning that removing this fuel subsidy will actually lead to more people plunging into poverty.
That is, I mean, that's preaching to the choir, because it's obvious that subsidy removal will come with a lot of hardship. But like our friend has ably submitted, a solution should be looked in the direction of labor making demands that government should cut its costs. The cost of governance is horrible. When you see billions of naira budgeted every year to buy new cars and to drink tea in government meetings, you wonder how this improve the economy. So when we can cut the cost of government to with a lot of trillions of naira that can even save us much more than what we would have paid in subsidy. So we shouldn't be a country that deceives itself. Let's cut cost of governance and then speak the truth to ourselves and say we don't need subsidies. We've hurt ourselves for too long. We've deceived ourselves for too long. We've been our enemy for too long. How do you now pay subsidy? And this Buhari administration has a golden opportunity again, and the president should not shy away from it by acknowledging that there is no legal basis for subsidy anymore. In fact, carrying on a subsidy regime till June, it's even gratuitous. The government should ask itself, where is it going to get the money from? Unfortunately, General Abdul Salami should have drummed it in the ear of government much long ago that we should have had alternatives to improving our lives.
He wasn't there for so long. And I'll come to you, Ikuku. What do we do to prevent this nationwide strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress? It seems we've lost him there. And I'll come to you, Comrade Mark. What should be done between now and 27th when the labor unions hope to begin this nationwide strike?
Well, there has to be conversations. There has to be discussions between the government and the unions to prevent this. Because the thing is that whatsoever, there has to be give and take in this conversation. The government must come down from his high horse and invite these people to a round table of discussion so that the Nigerians will not go into this terrible another cycle of suffering and smiling again, because in fact nobody will suffer and smile now. It's going to be suffering and crying. Already we are crying over insecurity, over burgeoning poverty and the rest of that. I think there must be a meeting point between labor and government. They have to do it for the sake of the Nigerian masses. They also have to do this.
We must thank you so much, Comrade Mark Adebayo. It's time for us to go on another short break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Nigeria. And we took our place in this new land brimming with possibilities and surprises. Take Kano, for instance, where the city's wealthiest trader made his first deposit. 20 bags of silver arriving on camelback. Aren't you glad that we offer online banking today? Expanding across the West African sub-region and beyond, our early presence made it possible for all hardworking Africans to build great things. So is it any wonder that not one, but two first bankers have gone on to become Nigeria's central banker? We are intricately woven into the fabric of society, supporting polo for over 100 years and pushing the limits of athletic performance. Rooted in tradition, but constantly leaning forward into the future. Are you coming?
You first Bank.
Welcome back. You're still watching This Week on Arise News. I'm Somna Sambu. Now, if the rice pyramids unveiled by President Muhammadu Buhari continues to be in yearly production, Nigeria may actually be on its way to food sufficiency, food security, and ready to export to other countries in a couple of years. The Anchor Borrowers Program, flagged off in 2015 by the Central Bank of Nigeria, is revolutionizing the agricultural sector. As of the end of December 2021, more than 4 million farmers cultivated over 5 million hectares across 21 commodities through 23 participating financial institutions in the 36 states of the Federation and FCT. However, the People's Democratic Party is not convinced about this feat. The opposition called it a pyramid of lies and another media stunt to hoodwink Nigerians ahead of 2023 elections.
Of today's occasion can be better understood by looking at the various economic strides the administration has achieved through agriculture. When we assumed the reins of leadership of this country in 2015, the administration identified the Anchor Borrowers Program as an essential policy instrument for achieving economic diversification through agriculture. To achieve this, the Anchor Borrowers Program was designed to encourage investments in agriculture and empower smallholder farmers as drivers of transformation in the agricultural sector.
The unveiling of the largest rice pyramids in Africa is coming right within your tenure, Your Excellency, sir. I personally salute your vision of making agriculture a cornerstone and one of the focal points of your administration. Like the vision of great leaders that prepares countries for unforeseen, this vision prepared us for the unanticipated impact of COVID-19 on food production.
Welcome back. I'm Somna Sambo, and I still have with me in the studio Mark Adebayo, co-spokesperson of the Coalition of United Political Parties, Arise News analyst Frank Tietie, and Ogbonna Ikuku, who is an economist, joins us from our Overflow studio. And I'll come to you, Ogbonna, very fully. Let's have your assessment about these rice pyramids that the PDP is debunking and calling the APC pyramids of lies and all of that, that this showmanship wouldn't help the APC in the 2023 elections. What do you make of the CBN's effort and that of the federal government?
Anyway, let me start by saying, one, for you to have your country to be productive, a few things must be considered. Number one, you must have your trained manpower. You must have a raw material supply strategy. You must have a well-specified technology acquisition program. You must have your financial engineering strategy. And then you must have the market. Now, I've said all of this to just say, now, what the Anchor Borrowers Program have done is to make sure that we, as a people, become self-sufficient when it comes to production of staple food, starting from rice. Now, if the production, and in 2015, this program was designed and was actually carried out, and then we're seeing the results, I don't understand why anybody would have a problem with it. This is my problem with the country. When we see productivity playing out, people begin to play politics with it. In the past 15 years or 10 years, have we ever seen this kind of pyramid? These are things that we used to hear about, the Ghana pyramids. Now we're having it play out, and then some people are complaining. That's even on the side. So let's begin to talk about, because productivity is basically about scale and specialization. Now, if we focused on agriculture, like the president said, let's focus on agriculture, let's begin to feed ourselves, and then a lot was put in there. The central bank provided that financial engineering that was required. Then, the extension program in Ministry of Agriculture helped a lot of people to go into agriculture, to invest in agriculture, in rice production, and today we are seeing the results. My point, the inputs that have gone into it is exactly the output that we are seeing today, which is that rice pyramid. And I want us to go beyond there. I want the Central Bank of Nigeria to intensify its effort. Don't listen to those who think that it's politics. No. now we have rice. Now we're not importing rice. I used to say this. I say, if we were still dependent on China and was dependent on Thailand during the COVID, when all borders were shut, what would have happened to Nigeria? What happened those days of Kwashoko would have happened in this country. But I'm happy that this is actually happening today. And then a lot of people are now seeing that, because that's what we call agglomeration when it comes to investment. People are beginning to see that it is possible to actually invest in rice and make money. So everybody will now be, more people will want to invest in rice, and which is
okay, very, very interesting indeed. And I'll come to you, Mark Adebayo here. Do you think that the PDP was playing too much politics when they actually referred to these pyramids as rice pyramids of lice?
Well, the thing is that, well, we have seen the pyramids of rice, but how much is a bag of rice in the market? It's not about the pyramids. Look, when we had
President Buhari has promised that after these rice pyramids, that the prices of rice will go down.
Until that happens. The issue is that, okay, when we had granite pyramids in the north, it was not for photo ops. It was realistic. It was something that was a verifiable fact, and we have the indices to back them up. It was not that we pack those things somewhere and invited journalists. It's not for photo ops. It was a realistic development of our agriculture in those days. If we have seen the pyramids on the TVs. We want to see the rice. We want to see the rice in the market. I want to see the prices go down. Not like, when you begin to buy rice, 50 kg at like say 10,000 naira, you know the pyramids, as the rice pyramids we have seen, so also as is the price pyramids. You know, it is the prices also are pyramidal. They're just so high. You understand? So we have to bring down. It is when you begin to see the prices of food go down. That is when you begin to respect rice pyramids. And it's not supposed for photo ops. It's as realistic that farmers are getting these products out and they are doing their pyramids by themselves.
Okay.
So that's my concern is that let's when we begin to buy rice at cheaper rate, then that's when you begin to celebrate the pyramid. It's beyond the photo ops.
Okay. Tietie, do you think the APC was caught in trouble when it actually decided to bring this rice to Abuja for showmanship and all of that?
I think it's part of governance, and the truth about it is that some issues are matters of fact. There is no doubt that rice production in Nigeria has increased under this CBN program. But there are also questions as to at what cost did the lending go to the farmers, and how did they refund the money. But there is no doubt, Comrade is right, that prices of rice have also increased. But you see, it's expected because we are no longer importing. It's not always the case when you do production within a country and then you find out that there will be lower prices. No, sometimes it's far cheaper to do importation. What we can confirm is that rice production in Nigeria has increased. We are now a rice sufficient country. In December, Olam as a rice in Nasarawa here gave us rice for free of charge. Rice is everywhere. But
so you think these optics are actually to help the APC in its campaign ahead of 2023?
It's not about,
some people say that they really need these photo ops to actually show to Nigerians that they've done so much. But the figures are also there to back this.
Yes, the figures are there, but again, let's be realistic. If you don't blow your trumpet, who will blow it for you? Would the PDP go and blow it that the APC has made Nigeria self-sufficient? Well, but unfortunately, the president in his last media chat realized too late that agriculture was actually the key the APC would have used to campaign. Yeah, it's coming too late.
So don't mind. Nigerians should go into agriculture.
So don't blame the APC if it tries to get all the media hype from this rice pyramid, because actually that's all they got.
All right, I'm afraid we'll have to go on another short break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
When we assume that
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
What? Now this is more like it, right? We want the best quality ingredients when we cook. But when it comes to salt, we care less. We say salt is salt. Well, I care about my salt. It goes into my food and my body. So I use Dangote salt. Dangote salt is high-quality salt that is refined and iodized to give great taste to my meals and also to support my family's health and well-being. It's time to care about your salt.
Welcome back to This Week. I'm Sumner Sambo, and on This Week we review the big stories in the week. And I've got Mark Adebayo, who's the co-spokesperson of the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, and I've got Frank Tietie, who is a Rise News analyst right here in the studio with me, and from our Overflow studio, Ogbonna Ikuku, who is an economist. Well, let's move on to other stories now. After it's been confirmed that the National Convention of the All Progressives Congress will hold on February 26, the party is not leaving any stone unturned to ensure a hitch-free convention. Days after announcing the convention date, the APC has rolled out a timetable leading to the convention. The timetable shows that the APC will first receive the interim report of the National Reconciliation Committee of the party headed by former Governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Adamu, on January 31. The APC will also consider and adopt reports from state congresses on February 2nd, inaugurate state executives on February 3rd, while the sale of forms for different national offices to be contested at the convention begins on February 14, with a submission deadline of February 19th. The APC Caretaker Committee has also denied zoning party offices. All right, now come to you, Barrister Frank Tietie. The APC seems to be coasting home to its national convention next month. What do you make of that party, especially the bickering about zoning? I mean, a lot of Nigerians think that it has been zoned to the North Central because you have more, aspirants coming from the North Central. But here we had Alimodu Sherif from the Northeast coming out just on Friday to seek for this position of national chairman.
Okay, well, thank you. It's a very welcome development that the APC has finally put his house in order, and then we're expecting the national convention. The issue of zoning is inevitable because it's part and parcel of our political culture, and we don't want a situation where the APC will unnecessarily implode as a result of bickerings over zoning. What is obvious is that the leader of the party, which is a nomenclature that crept into our politics lately, is not putting his foot very strongly on the ground.
Are you talking of President Muhammadu Buhari or Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who some people actually claim is the leader of the party, national leader?
The de facto leader of the party, which is the president, and who happens to, at this time, need to show his leadership resolve in this matter. The APC needs to be a one united party as it goes into the election. It cannot afford the kind of implosion that PDP had that made it to lose the 2015 elections. The president cannot be aloof. The zoning is just in the best interest of the APC, and it doesn't matter. I don't want to speak to the character of the persons who are coming out, but we must also see that yes, the democratic culture must be sustained in political parties. Nevertheless, zoning is very, very important.
Yeah, and I'll come to you, Ogbonna. Let's talk about the political economy of purchasing forms. Sometimes some of these forms to contest for party offices or public offices can be so high that it excludes women and young people because of the huge cost. What do you think the APC should be doing in terms of considering the cost of, these forms, nomination forms and expression of interest forms?
Yes, I hold the view that some level of concession should be given to younger people and then the women. But I also see it as it's a serious business. Politics is serious business, and then if you want to be part and parcel of politics, you should be able to do what it takes for you to be there. So if you want to vie for an office, I think it's just wise for you to be able to mobilize first of all friends and family, people who believe in you first, to be able to pool resources together. Because even the Bible says where a man's treasure is, that's where his heart is. If somebody does not believe in you to put his or her treasure into you or your vision, that means the person doesn't really believe in you. So that means you don't have the required capacity. So I actually still believe that, yes, it is good for there to be concessions, but I don't think it should be free. That you should be able to show capacity by being able to mobilize, first of all, those little resources that you need to buy those forms to show that that initial indication that you want to vie for an office. So it shouldn't come free.
So the party shouldn't have a hand in reducing the cost of forms, because I mean, a lot of people have said that once you make these forms too high, then it shuts out those who are not regular politicians but who have an interest in reforming both party administration or even the country if they are running for public office.
Yeah, it comes back to what I was saying earlier. Now, I understand, the party can consider, giving concession to certain people. Like I said, the younger people, the women, after the not too young to run bill have been, has become a law in Nigeria, so young people can actually contest for elections. But I mean, I still say, I stand by my submission that I think young people or the women should be able to galvanize people, appeal to the conscience of people. Those people that believe that you have what it takes to change things should be able to, have that, that support. They should be able to show that support, not by paying lip service to it, but should be able to provide funding to support what you believe in. And then it's also very important. It won't be nice for me to end this particular segment by, without mentioning, the last segment we talked about, pictures. I actually wanted to, economically, it's also very important for you to show what you're doing so that more people will want to invest in that, in that sector. It's not just about, showing because you want to contest elections. Sometimes you show some of those pyramids.
Right.
Sorry for taking us back.
No
you show
problem.
some of those pyramids and you tell people that,
Yeah.
this is possible for you to do business there.
Very interesting submission. And I come to you, Adebayo. You're of the CUPP. I mean, having seen all the contestants for the APC national chairmanship, what do you make of all of these people, including Ali Modu Sharif, who says he has been a former national chairman of PDP, so he wants to repeat that feat by being a national chairman of APC, so that in this Fourth Republic, he would have been a national chairman of the two dominant political parties in this Fourth Republic?
Well, you see, what will determine who eventually emerges, or let me just say what is determining the politics around those who are contesting and the power plays within the party of who to support or who not to support. Is it going to be consensus or we go to primary or go to Congress or not, whatever, is because of, it is not about who becomes the chairman of APC, it's about who becomes the presidential candidate of the party. So that essentially determines who will eventually emerge the national chairman of the. So all the bickerings, all the politicking, all the atrocious engagement that you are seeing is just, they are trying to predetermine who we might, because they know who will support who. And then if you give the chairmanship to people, especially that the cabal, the powerful cabal will not support. It is not about who becomes chairman, it's about who becomes the presidential candidate of that party eventually. That is what is determining the politics around who becomes the national chairman of APC. That is why you are seeing all these crises and all these, look at, for instance, now, if the party cannot manage its internal affairs, how do you expect it to manage Nigeria? And when you have 36 states and FCT, and you are having 74 party chairmen, how do you are supposed to have 36.
They've been able to resolve those issues.
I don't think so. I don't think they have finished. Even Osun is still there, Lagos is still there.
Yeah, but just a few states still remaining, and that's why they had those issues before eventually they agreed on this. Well, I just want to ask you this very quickly as we go into this convention. Why do you think that most of those who have declared are coming from the North Central?
It also boils down to the issue of who will become the presidential candidate of the APC. I think there's an attempt, probably, of course, to sort of shut out some people. You understand? But of course, a contestant like Yaya Bello is from the North Central. Maybe part of the politics is also there. But that is not someone who's going to give up easily. He's going to fight the whole hog. He's not going to withdraw. He's not going to withdraw for anybody. We go whether you pick somebody from his local government or his ward. Yaya Bello, as national chairman, he will still go ahead and contest for the presidential primary of his party. So it is all about politics of exclusion that is determining this thing. PDP pick it's also about also other political parties when it comes to presidential election.
Because I wanted to find out if it's because PDP picked its national chairman from the North Central too.
They just it's a context of context. It's power play.
Trying to shape on 2023.
It's power play, and it's their internal affairs, and the way they resolve it, the way they lay their bed is how they find themselves in 2023.
Almost, thank you so much. And move on to other stories before we end the show. In our review this week is the issue of America, where President Biden has ended his first year in the White House, with majority of Americans disapproving his handling of the presidency. According to a new poll from the Associated Press Center for Public Affairs Research, more Americans disapprove than approve of how Biden is handling his job as president. 56% to 43%. As of now, just 28% of Americans say they want Biden to run for re-election in 2024, including only 48% of Democrats. Political analysts say most chief executives of the U.S. typically see their poll numbers drop between their first and second year in office. So how is the rest of the world viewing the Biden presidency? We have analysis here, and I'll throw that straight to you. Mr. Frank Tietie, what do you make of a Biden presidency? 1 year in office, and he's already begun the second.
Like we say it in Nigeria, there's a big distinction between governance and politics. So the politics has come and gone, and it's now governance. And so dealing with issues of COVID and Afghanistan, the world itself is, especially those of us in Africa, a bit disappointed in the Biden presidency because of the vibrations that came from Afghanistan. And then to think that the ousted figure of former President Donald Trump, who seemed to had a cult followership in Africa, to now think that something spectacular didn't really come from Biden was also a disappointment. And then the unity of Americans, and the perception of America in Africa matters a lot in terms of global peace and stability. So the Africans here looked up to the United States a lot, but the democracy, the arguments in Congress and all that, inability to pass bills that were for national interest were more of a disappointment. So beyond the poll rating, even here in Africa, there's not much excitement about the Biden presidency.
All right, and I'll come to you, but now, taking a look at the COVID bans placed on some African countries, I mean, a lot of Africans were very angry with the US and all of that, alongside some other European countries. But what's your assessment of the Biden administration from the political economic perspective?
The COVID hit the United States of America so badly, and they actually affected the economy generally. So unemployment, actually was on the increase. So that would definitely not, make anybody happy. But be that as it may, whether we like it or not, that hangover coming from, the previous administration to his administration now, so it's still there, it's still fresh in people's memory. So a lot of people expected a miracle to happen as soon as Biden becomes president. But I mean, those things don't happen overnight. So we expect what is happening. A lot of people will not be very happy, and then after a while, things will actually pick up. And then with the COVID and all of that, also affecting the economy. So it's really a bad situation, but I see things turning for the better in the nearest future.
Has been able to handle the COVID situation better than a lot of people would have thought?
Yeah, definitely. Everybody would have expected much more from any leader, because I mean, when lives of people are involved, people are dying, it's just like a war situation. But this time around, you're not fighting with guns, but you're fighting with a virus that you can't see. So everybody expects the leadership of every nation to put it to a stop or just bring a solution overnight. But I mean, when those things are not happening, it just begins to make people feel, have this negative vibe towards whoever it is that is the leader. So, which, like I said, this is something is expected. So he's doing his best, but I mean, there's no
magic around it. The institutions are there, and then the institutions will be allowed to work. So there are things you
come
can't.
To you, Mark Adebayo. We've seen President Biden trying to have a rejig of his policy in Africa. I mean, he had to send the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, to Nigeria, Senegal, Kenya, and all of that. And he said that, look, I know I'm not stopping you from doing your business with China, but have everything. Think America. And I mean, we can see Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos going to buy trains for America. Do you think this has changed the narrative?
Has he bought the trains? Fashola went, he didn't bring any back any,
well,
any
trains. They've already made payment for this.
Okay, good. So the thing is that, you see, in America, foreign policy determines what happens in the American political space in terms of elections and the rest of that, and rating of their leaders. You know. But Joe Biden inherited a diplomatic sword of Damocles. That is crashing down on him now. Because what is determining the assessment of Joe Biden in terms of his foreign policy actually started before he came into office. On 29th of February 2020, the Donald Trump administration, entered into what is called the Doha Agreement, with the Taliban, and they went to Qatar to do that agreement without the involvement of the then government. So it was a bilateral agreement between the government of Donald Trump and the Taliban. That of course the Taliban agreed that they are going to step down the influence of Al-Qaeda within this, and then that America will have to withdraw. So there was an agreement. And Biden, government is a continuum. So he came in, he inherited that agreement, which are called the sword of Damocles, so which he had to implement. So by August 30th, 2021, they had to leave. Unfortunately, the government collapsed within minutes. That is what is affecting Joe Biden's rating now.
So what's your general assessment? Because we're losing time.
The thing is that the only way that Biden can come back is if he handles what is happening between Russia and Ukraine now. He has to handle it very well. If he doesn't handle it very well, his rating will drop down. It will affect him in 2024 so badly. Even within his party, he will be rejected. Well, so the only saving grace is Ukraine for him now, for him to handle that perfectly.
Perfectly. Okay. Well, we must thank you so much, Mark Adebayo, who's the co-spokesperson of the Coalition of United Political Parties, and we must thank you, Barrister Frank Tietie, a Rise News analyst, for joining us, and Ogbonna Ikuku, who's an economist, for joining us to review all these issues. And that's how it's been for this edition of This Week. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Sumner Sambo.
All across Nigeria, Glow is spreading unlimited joy to its subscribers with the Joy Unlimited Extravaganza promo.
I got a call that, congratulations, Choma, you won yourself a car. I said, Jesus, is it true? I don't have a car. Who dashed me car?
Loads of tear rubber cars, TV sets, fridges, generators, and so much more have been won! Just dial *611# and recharge up to 500 naira during the week, and you could be the next person to celebrate big time!
I won a refrigerator from Glow Network. You people are the best.
This joy, I can't explain it. If you're not using Glow, I think you're on the wrong network.
Dial *611# now to enter the Glow Joy Unlimited Extravaganza!
People they make me laugh when they say 2K not be money. 2K! You don't start. See you. You never hear of Fidelity get a lot of millions promo season 5 when you say we just checking it 2K. You go to win plenty millions. All you need to do, carry waka, enter any Fidelity bank, open any Fidelity savings account, collect your ATM or that account where you get already. Save with just 2K. Then lucky winners fit win 1 million naira every month. On top of that one lucky winner go win 5 million naira and 2 million naira for another lucky winner, and 50 winners go chop 10,000 naira. One by each. If you put it for 2K constantly, you put it carry up to 10 million naira go house. Oh, work.
My yam it is Ibo. If you like, don't go and open your Fidelity Bank savings account and collect your ATM. So, the more you save, the higher your chances of winning.
I hear what the man.
Fidelity.